Welcome back to White Jasmine Everyday Cooking. I'm Huma Siddiqui, and as you know, we are just creating this beautiful, delicious menu, and I'm sure you are just hanging on and waiting to meet Chef Mike. So here he is.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Well, thank you for coming.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And it's beautiful. It looks just absolutely wonderful. So please tell us a little bit about you and Biaggis and the recipe.
Well, Biaggis has been on the west side now for 10 years. It's our 10-year anniversary. I've been the chef there, chef partner there for about 3. It's a fabulous restaurant.
Yeah, it certainly
is.
Lots
of local people working there. Some people have been there since it opened, 10 years. So it's really a fun place
and
to
my
work.
daughter actually started working there when you were just opening. And she still loves the brownies.
Oh yeah, yeah. We had a brownie eating contest with Saba once, and she won. So
of course, she loves those and makes great brownies too.
Yep.
So
fabulous.
Wonderful.
Well, yeah, we want to talk about the dish.
Yeah, tell us about figs and your dish.
So we're working with fresh figs right now. Fresh figs are in season from about June till about early October. You know, fresh figs go back 3000 BC, they're found. So they actually found figs in the pyramids. In tombs of kings, they found baskets full of figs. So figs go back a long ways. They're brought to our country by the Spaniards.
Seem to be popular.
Yeah, they were brought to our country by the Spaniards. They're grown in California. This is called a mission fig. It's got a little purple to it.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
They were grown in San Diego. So they're really beautiful. They're really soft. They have kind of a sweet flavor, kind of a texture like a banana, but they also have seeds in the center that have kind of a floral, kind of grassy flavor and texture. So they're really interesting from a texture standpoint and a flavor standpoint. So what we thought we'd do today is we'd stuff them. This is kind of an appetizer, a nice starter. You could serve it in your home. You know, you could serve it at a cocktail party.
Yeah, so, and they're pretty as well.
Yeah,
looks
definitely.
Very nice.
They have beautiful color. We're really not going to do much to them. We're not going to cook them hardly at all. We're just going to kind of broil them. So the first thing you do is you cut off the little stem. The stem looks like about like what would be on an apple. And then you just slice it straight in half. What I like to do is I take on the bottom of it, I take just a little bit of a slice off, and what that does is it just helps it set straight.
Keep it
Right. You can do that with stuffed mushrooms as well when you're doing stuffed mushrooms.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, definitely notice the color. You know, notice the inside, how there's definitely a little pocket in there, and you can see the difference. This is all the seeds and the thistle in there, and it's just delicious, and it's got a really wonderful floral, herbaceous quality to it, and it's got a crunch to it.
And I have really never cooked with figs, so this is really wonderful.
And you know, they also dry figs, obviously. They'll sun dry them like they would a raisin or even coffee, so they take on totally different characteristics from there. So I would consider this a lot like a strawberry in its texture, in some of its flavors, some of the acidity to it. And then, you know, as they dry, it turns more into like a raisin, where it's really developed fruit. So what we're going to do is actually make a little compound butter, which essentially is a fancy word for just a butter that's flavored. Okay.
Sure.
We're going to flavor it with a bunch of things. We're going to flavor it with some orange liqueur, some orange cognac. We put a few tablespoons of that in there.
Nice.
Which is a wonderful ingredient. This is an expensive bottle of liquor, but when you have it in your cabinet, you can use it for cooking, things like that. If you make a margarita with this, it's ridiculously amazing. So, Worcestershire sauce, which you have to say very fast because if you try to read it, Worcestershire, whatever. But Worcestershire sauce actually has a lot of great qualities. It's kind of got some tang to it. It's got some sweetness to it. Tamarind is one of the main ingredients in it. Anchovies are also in Worcestershire, so it's got some interesting ingredients. We're talking about shallots now. Shallot is an onion. Very
sort of a baby onion?
Yeah, it's very kind of smooth. Like usually when you're cutting shallots, you use a very small paring knife because it's so small. You know, you don't want to get your hands in the way, so you just kind of cut it down and then just a little dice on it. We're going to throw a little bit of that in there. And that, you know, all these things are helping.
And it's pretty strong. The flavor is pretty strong, so you just add a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. You know, it's a nice substitution to garlic because it's not quite as strong as garlic.
Sure.
Thyme. You know, a hint to thyme is, you know, plant thyme in your garden because it's so expensive to buy in the grocery store, but it's such a wonderful ingredient. And when I'm working with thyme, I just kind of pull it apart.
I can smell it. It's so wonderful.
Right. You just kind of roll it in your fingers because all those essential oils that are in that herb will just get going.
Yeah.
And then it just mixes in with the butter. We've got an orange here. I like to use a navel orange, because navel oranges are very, very sweet, as opposed to a Valencia orange, which is kind of a juice orange.
Okay.
I'm going to squeeze that in there. You can see how beautiful and brilliant that is.
Oh, what a great combination.
Yeah. And then I'm actually going to just zest a little bit of it. This is a little microplaner where you just take the very edge, the kind of the essential oils on the outside. You can see where that comes
Sure.
All right, so that's our compound butter.
It's looking very nice.
Yeah,
with all
wonderful,
those,
huh?
Yeah, very
We're going to
pretty.
put just a tiny bit of salt and pepper in there.
Okay.
A little bit of kosher salt. And then you just kind of smash it together. You know, the butter has been softened, obviously, but it makes a wonderful, flavorful butter.
And you can use it on different breads if you want to bake it. You know, you can have different uses for it.
Exactly. I would say, you know, if you're gonna put it on a bread, you know, the liqueur that you put in there certainly needs to kind of be cooked to kind of take some of the acidity out of it. But if you're going to put it in bread, you know, maybe just the juice of the orange is enough. The zest of the orange is plenty.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Wonderful.
So, you know, what we've done is we've obviously halved the fig. We've arranged that on this tray here.
I can take that.
And, you know, we've added the compound butter. So we take a little bit of the spoonfuls of compound butter, and they go on top of the fig. Now, you remember we were talking about the fig on the inside, it has that kind of hole in it, and then it's got that really herbaceous
so
kind
it goes in there.
so it just kind of saturates it kind of like a sponge would. So that's a really wonderful characteristic of this dish.
Perfect.
Because it really soaks the flavor of that butter in there, adds some flavor to the dish. So the last thing we're going to do is actually we're going to top this with some cheese and just kind of broil it in the oven. So we're going to top it with a couple of different kinds of cheeses today. The first cheese we're going to top it with is this black rind cheese. This is called Chèvre Noir. And this is really one of my most favorite cheeses in the world.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, and it gets its name from this black waxy cover, the noir part, and chèvre would mean goat. So it's a goat cheese based, or a goat milk based cheese that goes through the cheddaring process.
Sure.
The cheddaring process is basically when they take the curd, they salt it, and then they press it and age it over time. It takes on some nutty characteristics, that salt in there. If you've ever bitten into a nice piece of aged cheddar and you get that kind of crunchiness to it, a lot of that has to do with the salt that they're putting on it, and then it's pressed and aged. Okay? So we take a few thin slices of that. Now this one is a French Canadian cheddar, but you can also locally buy goat cheese, cheddar goat cheese at like Brennan's, stores like that.
Sure.
And the other cheese we're going to use is this wonderful white jasmine cheese that I've been exposed to lately. Right, and cumin gouda. I mean, it just sounds so
nice
delicious,
and hot.
and it really is.
Yeah.
Beautiful cumin seed. You know, it's got that really chili flavor to it. It's got a really wonderful spice to it. So, and it's actually Gouda. So Gouda is one of the best melting cheeses you can use. So this is a great dish to use that spicy Gouda with.
Perfect.
So that's where we're at. You know?
And then we'll leave this in the oven for how long?
You know, it goes. Set the oven on your broil setting.
Okay.
You're going to leave it in there until basically just until the cheese melts.
Okay. So
it
just
probably
couple
takes
minutes.
2-3 minutes.
Sure.
You know, you don't want it to go. You don't want it to go. Excuse me, too long. You don't want it to brown. You just want it to melt.
Perfect. Anything else you would like our audience to know about Biaggis and about your food? And
you know what, Biaggis is a wonderful place. It's got a lot of classic ingredients.
And I know you do a lot of parties as well.
We do. We've got a wonderful side room. We do. We were voted the best in the state for rehearsal dinners because of the way you know this the way it's set up. It's got an amazing family atmosphere. Like I said, a lot of the employees there have been there, you know, since it opened, which is really, you know, in my business. To have a bartender or an assistant manager that's been there for 10 years, that's really unheard of, and I think that has a lot to do with the building and the people that work there,
of course,
and the people that run the place. So.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead and try some of those wonderful dishes at Biaggis whenever you get a chance, and we will have a lot of information about the restaurant and also this recipe on our website. So log in to whitejasmine.com and you can check it out. So thank you for your interest, and we'll come back and put this whole menu together, so don't go away.